Exhale everything out. Slowly come to your sitting position. So bring yourself to facing the screen again. Bring your left, send it out to the mat, and then now lift both of the arms up. Inhale. Exhale, bend to your right side. So fingertips touching the toes or the ankle or the shin bones, wherever that you feel comfortable. Lift your left arm up, inhale, and then exhale, bend to right side. Breathe in, inhaling and exhaling, stay here. Really opening on the left side of your body. Breathe, slowly release. Both arms up, inhale, exhale to the left side. So fingertips touching the toes or the shin bones or the ankle. Lift the right arm up, inhale, back to your left side. Breathe in, inhaling and exhaling. Stay there for a couple more breaths. Slowly up, inhale, exhale. Bring your left hand touching your right toes. So if this is too much for you, you can always bring the hand to the shin bones. But if you can grab the toes, grab it. Inhale, lift, go forward, exhale, bow down. Breathe in, inhaling and exhaling. Stay for a few more breaths. And then gently release. The same thing for the left side. So your right hand touching your toes or grabbing the ankle. Lift the chin up, inhale, exhale, bow down. If you can rest your forehead, please do so. Enjoy the pose for a few breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Slowly release. Reaching for the sky, inhale. Exhale, hands down. Bring the sole of the feet together. Bring the heel away from the hip. Reaching up, inhale. And exhale, reaching forward. Breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling. Stay for a couple breaths. Hold. And gently release. Coming to your sitting position. Enjoying the breath. Enjoying the sensation after you do so many poses. Now lie on your back. We are going to do some twisting pose. So lie and find relaxed sensation after a lot of movement that we did. Bring the knee to the chest, rock it side to side, really massaging those lower back. Inhale and exhale. Now straighten your right leg. Grab your left knee with your right hand and then move it to the right side. And then send your left hand, your left arm to the side. Breathe. Inhaling and exhaling. And then slowly come back. The right side. So straighten your left leg. Bring your right knee to the chest. And then grab it. Bring it to the left side. Send your right arm out. Breathe. Inhale and exhale. Relax the lower back. Hold the pose. and then gently release. We are going to do Savasana, everyone. So Savasana is the most important part in yoga um, physical practice. So come to your comfortable lie down position. Really relax everything. Really bring your awareness to your breath. Close your eyes and let go all of the tension that maybe you had during the practice. Inhale, expanding the belly. Exhale everything out. Inhaling again. Exhale everything out. Listen to the sound of your breath. We have so beautiful noise here. The sound of the flow of the water. Let the sound calm you down. Enjoy your Savasana.
For the Dayak-Soloko tribe, nature is a source of life that must be protected and preserved. They believe that all living things on earth are interrelated and depend on one another.
Entering the Q&A session, and for the first question is about, is yoga is only asana? This is a very good question actually, because most of the people nowadays know yoga through social media. You can see people posting in some beautiful poses and you think that is yoga. And yoga is not only about asana. So yoga is actually, from the first day, it's about meditation, because the aim to the yoga, the purpose of practicing yoga is to get a blissful mind. And ancient Hindu, they they formed this beautiful thing called yoga, where we can really connecting to our mind and to our breath, and we are really it really help us throughout our life. So yoga itself, it has fundamentals, which is the 8 limbs of yoga. The 8 limbs of yoga, the first two are the ethical, as a personal, as a human being. There are ethicals, there are yama and niyama. And the third is pranayama, which is you really controlling your life force. And this is sometimes we practicing pranayama through breath work. So if you're familiar, if you're following this program enough, you will know that we also overview the breathwork practice. And the the fourth and the five and the six is all about meditation. So how to entering the meditation. And the highest part of doing yoga is samadhi, which you really get into blissful mind. Your life is very easy, even though maybe there are some challenges. So that is the main purpose of doing yoga. It's not only asana, but more into getting easier in life and being really happy. So for the second question is, the second question is about, there are so many online and there are so many videos, yoga practice that you can search, and is it safe to practice online? I think it's safe, since this is the program you can also see from the screen in your house. So it's online, and I think it's safe as long as you know which type of class that you choose. Because there are so many practices, especially in YouTube or in Instagram, that you might find. You might want to really know what the class is about, and is it safe or not depends on the level that you practice on. So be careful on choosing that. And since you're going to do it in the house, in your comfortable area, I really encourage you to use the props. So chair, strap, yoga block, anything that you need. So yes, it's safe, and follow our program, everyone. I hope you enjoy the practice. I hope the practice make you sweat, because that's the purpose of this practice. And leave us a message if you have any question in our social media at TVRIWorld, or you can DM me also at Rini. You can find some information below here. And I will see you next time, everyone. Have a good day. Namaste.
Indonesian embassy in Tokyo, Japan confirms no Indonesian among victims in Tuesday airplane collision in Haneda Airport. KPU announced the third debate session featuring 3 presidential candidates will be held at Istora Senayan Central, Jakarta on Sunday, January 7th. Novak Djokovic placed down fears that an injured wrist may hamper his Australian Open title defense. Hello, I'm Valerina Daniel, and you're watching Focus today on TVRI World, live from Indonesia. Let's begin with our first report. A Palestinian eyewitness said a water collection point at the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza was targeted, destroying the surrounding buildings and injuring several people.
The footage shows people helping the injured evacuate the area while others are removing the rubble from buildings damaged by the strike. The strike on the water collection point comes at a time when displaced Palestinians living in the largest refugee camp in Gaza are struggling to find clean water amid a tight blockade of essential supplies and after weeks of Israeli bombardment and siege. Gazans have endured fear and hardship since the war began on October 7. Israel's military campaign has displaced hundreds of thousands of people, while a tight blockade has caused shortages of food, water, medicines, electricity, and other supplies.
Gemma Connell, an official with the UN humanitarian agency OCHA, said 5 people, including a newborn baby, were killed in an airstrike on a Gaza hospital.
Here at Al Amal Hospital, it's a Palestinian Red Crescent Society facility clearly marked with the Red Crescent emblem on the roof, and just 2 hours ago you can see behind me and all around me this area was hit. 5 people were killed here, including a 5-day-old child. No child in the world should be killed, let alone one sheltering under the emblem of a humanitarian organization. This war has to end. You can see just behind me the diapers. This was a space where babies were living. This is a space where children were living. You can see on the floor the blood. The world should be absolutely horrified. The world should be absolutely outraged. A child was killed here today. 4 more people were killed here today in a space that should be safe. But there is no safe space in Gaza, and the world should be ashamed.
Rescue workers and civilians searched through rubble for survivors and bodies following an Israeli strike on Maghazi refugee camp in central Gaza. Simultaneously, plumes of smoke rose above the southern city of Khan Yunis in Gaza, as seen from nearby Rafah following Israeli strikes.
Israeli forces kept up their assault on the Gaza Strip and told civilians to leave a refugee camp in the north of the Palestinian enclave after the war reached into Lebanon with the killing in Beirut of the Hamas deputy leader. Israel says it tries to avoid harm to civilians, but the total recorded Palestinian death toll had reached 22,313 by Wednesday, with 128 of them in the past 24 hours, the Gaza Health Ministry said. Still from Gaza, the Israeli military said in its daily briefing that the intensive battles with militants continued in Gaza and Khan Yunis. It has said previously it is trying to flush out Hamas leaders in the area. Since then, Israeli bombardments have laid waste to much of the enclave. Its 2.3 million residents are engulfed in a humanitarian disaster in which thousands have been left destitute, crammed into shrinking areas in the hope they are safe, and threatened by famine due to a lack of food supplies. And the Israeli military said the intensive battles with militants were continuing in the southern city of Khan Yunis. It has said previously it is trying to flush out Hamas leaders in the area. Residents and Palestinian media said Israeli forces bombed al-Nusayrat refugee camp in the northern part of the Hamas-ruled enclave overnight and into Wednesday.
Jordanians protested after a drone strike killed Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Aruri in Lebanon's capital, Beirut.
In the Muslim Brotherhood's Islamic Action Front Party headquarters, people held an honorary funeral for Aruri. Arouri, who lived in Beirut, was the first senior Hamas political leader to be assassinated since Israel began its offensive against the militant group in response to its deadly rampage into Israeli towns on October the 7th. Tuesday's strike, which has neither been admitted or denied by Israel, had the southern Beirut suburb of Dahiyeh, the first strike to hit the Lebanese capital following almost 3 months of near-daily fire between the Israeli military and Hezbollah that has been confined to the border region.
Members of the UN Security Council called on Yemen's Houthis to halt their attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, saying they threaten regional stability, global freedom of navigation, and food supplies.
Addressing the Council's first meeting of 2024, members also demanded that the Houthis release Galaxy Leader, a Japanese operated cargo ship linked to an Israeli company, and its crews, which the group seized on November 19. The United States believes the situation has reached an inflection point, said Chris Lu, a U.S. representative to the United Nations.
During the Council's meeting just over 2 weeks ago, many delegations expressed a view that the Council has a responsibility to help ensure that the free flow of lawful transit through the Red Sea continues unimpeded. Today, in light of both the broad support for Council action and continued Houthi attacks, the United States believes that we are at an inflection point. These attacks pose grave implications for maritime security, international shipping, and commerce, and they undermine the fragile humanitarian situation in Yemen, damaging the ability of the international community to deliver assistance to more than 21 million people in need. It is vital that the Council speak, and speak now, on the need to uphold international law as well as navigational rights and freedoms. Must not overlook the root of the problem.
Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis said they had targeted a container ship bound for Israel, a day after the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, said the militant group had fired 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles into the southern Red Sea.
The international community must impose a solution to Israel-Hamas conflict as the warring side is liable to come to terms, EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell said.
Borrell also expressed concern over the possibility of an escalation of the conflict following the killing in Beirut of the Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Arouri in a drone strike. Israel has neither confirmed nor denied that it killed al-Arouri. The assassination was a further sign that the nearly 3-month war between Israel and Hamas was spreading across the region, drawing in the occupied West Bank, Hezbollah forces on the Lebanon-Israel border, and even Red Sea shipping lanes. Borrell also said he would present to the EU member states a proposal to create a mission to contribute to security in the Red Sea. The proposal is set to be presented and would require unanimity among member states for it to go ahead, he said.
Mourners gathered for the funeral of Hamas member Ahmad Hammoud, who was killed along with Hamas deputy leader Saleh al-Arouri in a drone strike on Beirut's southern suburb a day before.
Arouri was struck down by a drone in the southern suburbs of Beirut, the stronghold of Hamas' Iranian-backed Lebanese ally Hezbollah, in an attack widely attributed to Hamas' sworn foe Israel. Israel has not confirmed or denied the role, but the attack came a month after Israeli broadcaster Kan aired a recording of the head of Israel's domestic security agency, Shin Bet, vowing to hunt down Hamas in Lebanon, Turkey, and Qatar, even if it took years. On Wednesday, Israel's Mossad spy chief David Barnea said he was committed to settling the score with Hamas, adding, "Let every Arab mother know that if her son took part, directly or indirectly, in the October 7 massacre, his blood is forfeit."
In 2023, global public health faced significant milestones, including the end of COVID-19 as a public health emergency, the approval of new vaccines for malaria, dengue, and meningitis, and the elimination of neglected tropical diseases. However, the year also saw immense suffering and threats to health, such as the attacks on Israel and Gaza and the resurgence of cholera.
Healthier world. And as WHO closes out our 75th year as the World Health Organization, I extend my sincere gratitude to health workers, partners, and WHO colleagues on our shared journey to achieve health for all. Lastly, during this holiday season, I'm sure that everyone will join me in hoping that the new year will bring peace, health, and prosperity for all people around the world.
Satellite photographs of the Martyrs Cemetery in Iran's southeastern city of Kerman show huge crowds at a ceremony before two explosions that killed more than 100 people.
Large number of people were walking alongside Kerman's Martyr Cemetery to commemorate top commander Qasem Soleimani, who was killed by a U.S. drone in 2020 when the two explosions occurred. In another satellite photos, hundreds of people and vehicles are visible at Qasem Soleimani Shrine. An unnamed official told state news agency IRNA explosives have been detonated remotely by terrorists. And also Iranian state television reported a first then a second blast after 20 minutes during a crowded 4th anniversary event at the cemetery, where Commander Qasem Soleimani, who was killed by a U.S. drone in 2020, is buried in the southeastern city of Kerman. Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi condemned the heinous and inhuman crime, and Iran's top authority, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, vowed revenge for the bloody twin bombings.
The Iranian Red Crescent posted a video on its social media platform X, which shows wounded people being treated following two explosions that killed more than 100 people in Kerman.
Scores were wounded in the blast at a ceremony to mark the 4th anniversary of the killing of the top commander Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. drone strike in Iraq. The Iranian state television reported a first and then a second blast during a crowded anniversary event at the cemetery, where Soleimani is buried in southeastern city of Kerman. An unnamed official told state news agency IRNA that two explosive devices planted along the road leading to Kerman's Martyr Cemetery were detonated remotely by terrorists.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres strongly condemned the bombing of the ceremony in Iran to honor former Iranian top commander Qasem Soleimani.
The two explosions killed more than 100 people and wounded scores at a ceremony in Iran to commemorate top commander Qasem Soleimani, who was killed by a U.S. drone in 2020, Iranian officials said, blaming unspecified terrorists.
Do we know how much fuel?
The Secretary General strongly condemns the attack today on a memorial ceremony in Kerman City in the Islamic Republic of Iran, which reportedly killed more than 100 people and injured many more. The Secretary General calls for those responsible to be held accountable. And the Secretary General expresses his deep condolences to the bereaved families and the people and the government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, and he wishes the injured a speedy recovery.
Iranian state television reported a first and then a second blast during a crowded anniversary event at the cemetery where Soleimani is buried in the southeastern city of Kerman.
How much fuel is it getting in consistently? Is it?
We'll be back with more news. Stay with us on Focus Today.
A sport that combines the strength of the body, breathing, and also the mind. Beneficial for physical and mental health. Each episode provides different yoga poses and movements.
That really into the fitness industry.
With Rini Riti. Wonderful Yoga. Every Saturday, 6 a.m. and 4 p.m. Only on TVRI World.
Welcome back on Focus Today. Wajima City on the northern tip of Japan's Noto Peninsula has been razed by massive fires sparked by Monday's 7.6 magnitude earthquake, from which the death toll has risen to 73 so far.
A series of strong tremblers with a major one registering 7.6 magnitude on the Richter scale on Monday struck at a shallow depth in the Noto region of Ishikawa Prefecture. Local authorities and emergency services in Wajima City, Suzu City and Noto Town in the prefecture are continuing to assess the damage and hunt for survivors after many houses confirmed to have collapsed there. Scenes of devastation were visible across Wajima, one of the hardest hit areas in the quake, with many buildings there burned to the ground by fires triggered by the quake, leaving only a large swathe of smoldering debris in their wake. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said the government had decided to double the number of self-defense forces or SDF members in the disaster-hit region from the 1,000 deployed at present.
Rescuers are searching for survivors of an earthquake in western Japan that killed at least 65 people, battling freezing temperatures and heavy rain.
Firefighters searched into the night in the debris below a collapsed building in the center of Wajima, a city hit hard by the quake. The firefighters had come from Osaka, more than 400 kilometers away. At a nearby evacuation center, people prepared to spend another night. A medical assistant doctor at the center said it was slower than usual for supplies to reach Wajima, compared with other disasters where he was warned. Severe road, damaged infrastructure, and remote locations of the hardest hit areas have complicated rescue efforts. The full extent of damage and casualties remains unclear 2 days after the quake.
Nanao City in Ishikawa experienced aftershocks 2 days after a 7.6 magnitude earthquake that caused structural damage and fires in Wajima.
The death toll had risen to 65 in Ishikawa as of 3 p.m. local time on Wednesday after a series of powerful earthquakes hit the area in central Japan and the vicinity. Full extent of the damage from the quakes remains unknown as rubble and severed roads still prevented search and rescue operations on Wednesday. In a series of aftershocks experienced by the region, one with a magnitude of 5.6 on Wednesday morning and one with a magnitude of 4.6 on Tuesday evening struck off the Noto Peninsula. The strong earthquake have caused serious damage to the city, including personnel casualties, house damages, road closures, and power outages. According to the prefectural government, at least 60 people are now in a state of isolation due to cut-off roads in at least 3 municipalities, including Nanao. In the aftermath of the quakes, nearly 34,000 households, as of Wednesday morning, still suffered power outages in Ishikawa, where over 33,000 people have taken shelter, according to local authorities.
The Indonesian embassy in Tokyo, Japan, confirmed no Indonesian among victims in Tuesday's airplane collision in Haneda Airport that involved a Japan Airlines passenger jet and a Japan Coast Guard aircraft.
The confirmation was made after the embassy had coordinated with the Japan Airlines, the Haneda Airport Authority, and Japan's Land Infrastructure, Transportation, and Tourism Ministry. Indonesian ambassador to Japan, Peri Ahmadi, said no Indonesian experienced flight delay at Haneda Airport. The Japan airline jet, with flight number 516, burst into flames after colliding with a Japan Coast Guard aircraft at the Haneda Airport on Tuesday. All 367 passengers and 12 crews of Japanese Airlines Airbus A350 were safely evacuated, while 5 crews in the smaller aircraft died.
Thousands of passengers were stranded at Tokyo's Haneda Airport following Tuesday's deadly airplane collision on one of its runways. The incident occurred when a Japan Airlines jet collided with a Coast Guard plane at the Haneda Airport at about 17:47 local time Tuesday.
5 of the 6 people on the Coast Guard plane were confirmed dead, with the captain surviving but sustaining severe injuries. After the fatal collision, both aircraft caught fire on the runway, sending heavy plumes of smoke rising, while the larger passenger jet was engulfed in flames. All 379 people aboard the Japan Airlines plane, an Airbus A350, were able to evacuate safely, though 14 people sustained injuries. The crash forced the airport to shut down all runways for several hours on Tuesday evening, leading to cancellation of 226 flights to and from Haneda, affecting over 40,000 passengers. Despite the reopening of 3 runways, about 100 flights were still expected to be cancelled, disrupting the travel plans of some 19,000 passengers. I was supposed to take the 7:40 flight this morning, but it got cancelled, and I had to change for an evening flight instead. I've been waiting at the airport here for 13 hours. The timing of the reopening of the runway involved in the accident has still not been confirmed.
Rescuers evacuated residents in towns in the northern French department of Pas-de-Calais and Northamptonshire, UK, as flood waters submerged streets and homes due to heavy rain. Meanwhile, rescue workers in northern Germany constructed temporary dams using water-filled containers and metal sheets as meteorologists warn of more rain in the coming days.
Weather Service Meteo France put the department on red alert for flooding, the highest alert it could designate. 3 other departments in northern and western France also found themselves on orange alert for floods. Anthony Richevin and his family were among the residents evacuated in the town of Arcs. He said their house were 50 centimeters deep in the flood, making it unlivable for the moment. This is the second flooding episode in the Pas-de-Calais in 3 months. In November, most of the residents of Arcs saw 3 weeks of flood damage their homes and farmlands. Meantime, mobile homes at Billing Aquadrome, a holiday park located in the English county, were submerged by the floods while water surged into nearby fields. Storm Hank caused havoc in parts of Britain and Wales as floods and winds of more than 90 miles per hour swept across the country. Severe weather warnings from the UK's National Weather Service were still in place for Wednesday. Meanwhile, in the city of Oldenburg, south of the North Sea coast in the state of Lower Saxony, members of the government's THW Technical Relief Agency worked on completing a 2-kilometer-long artificial dam with large water containers. Local farmer Jens Ruver said he and his family were asked to evacuate to a nearby secondary school, but that he would never leave his farm and his animals behind, among them horses. According to meteorologists, more rain from western France's Brittany region will reach northern Germany by Friday.
KPU announced the third debate session featuring 3 presidential candidates will be held at Istora Senayan on Sunday. Details are next in Road to Ballot segment. The General Election Commission KPU announced that the third debate session featuring 3 presidential candidates will be held at Istora Senayan, Jakarta on Sunday, January 7th.
Member of KPU, August Melas, said the KPU held a meeting with each candidate team as well as TV station as broadcaster at KPU office on Wednesday to finalize the third debate session. Regarding the debate theme, Melas said there has been an addition from 4 themes to 6 themes because some of the previous themes were developing. The 6 themes include defense, security, international relations, globalization, geopolitics, and foreign policy. For the debate format, he said there is no change from the previous presidential candidate debate. The first segment will be open with presentation of vision, mission, and work programs starting with presidential candidate number 3, Ganjar Pranowo. The last segment will be closing statements by each presidential candidate in the 6th segment. Melas said the KPU will also provide podium for the second debate session of the presidential candidates. Previously, on December 12, 2023, the first debate session was held at KPU office in Jakarta featuring presidential candidates. Then, the second debate session was held at Jakarta Convention Center Senayan, Jakarta on December 22, 2023, featuring vice presidential candidates. There will be 3 more presidential and vice presidential debates which will be held on January 7, January 21st, and February 4, 2024.
The General Elections Commission announced 11 panelists who will prepare questions for the third debate session that will be held in Jakarta on Sunday. The 3 presidential candidates will meet each other again for the second time at the session.
KPU Commissioner Agus Melas said in Jakarta that the 11 panelists had confirmed their participation for submitting debate questions. They have various backgrounds and competence, ranging from defense, security, international relations, globalizations, geopolitics, to international politics. Agus says the 11 panelists will join an intensive closed sessions for 3 days to discuss the question list. The 11 panelists are Angel Damayanti, Professor of International Security at Indonesian Christian University, UKI. Kuri Maharani Savitri, International Relations Lecturer and Expert in Defense and Technology at Pinus University. Evi Fitriani, Professor of International Relations at University of Indonesia. Hikmahanto Juwana, Professor of International Relations at University of Indonesia and Rector of General Ahmad Yani University. Imade Andi Arsana, Expert in Geospatial for Maritime Law at Gajah Mada University. Ian Montratama, International Relations Lecturer and Expert in Security and Defense at Pertamina University. Irina Hiraswari Gayatri, Political Researcher at National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN. Kusnanto Anggoro, Expert in Security at Defense University. Retired Admiral Marsetio, former Navy Chief of 2021 to 2014 and Head of Professors at Defense University. Philips J. Vermonte, Dean of Faculty of Social Science at Indonesian International Islamic University and Senior Fellow at Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS. And R. Widya Setiabudi Sumadinata, Professor of Global Security at Pajajaran University.
Researcher at Indonesia election watchdog Perludem, Kahfi Adlan Hafiz, urged the General Election Commission KPU to implement consistently the rules of broadcasting of debate to the official television stations that have been selected. Meanwhile, the KPU says that it will maintain the MNC Group as one of the television stations to broadcast live the presidential debate on January 7, 2024.
Adlan Kahfi said that the regulations for broadcasting the debate must be observed so that the television stations that broadcast the debate can work independently and have to maintain neutrality. Some technical things that the KPU must pay attention to, such as taking pictures of balance pairs of candidates and not broadcasting political advertisements on the sidelines of the debate. In addition, Kahfi also asked the KPU to stress that television only functions to broadcast, not to determine the techniques of the debate. Thus, the television party broadcasting the debate cannot technically intervene for certain political interests. Meanwhile, KPU member Agus Melas explained that the appointment of the television station was in accordance with the KPU's regulation. Even though there was an objection from the campaign team of certain presidential candidates on KPU's appointment of the MNC Group. Agus explains that later, there will be further discussion regarding the time remaining before the third debate of the 2024 presidential elections on Sunday. The debate will be held on January 7, 2024 and will be broadcasted live by MNC networks or groups, such as RCTI, Global TV, and iNews TV. MNC Group owner Haritanu Sudibjo is the general chairman of the Perindo Party as the main supporter of Ganjar Mahfud peer.
The General Election Commission named 2 moderators for the third debate session featuring presidential candidates that will be held at Istora Senayan Center Jakarta on Sunday. The 2 moderators are Aryo Ardi and Anisha Dasuki.
KPU Commissioner Agus Melas said 2 journalists in the MNC Group, Aryo Ardi and Anisha Dasuki, will moderate the third debate session that will last 120 minutes. Melas cited that the MNC Group remains as the organizing TV station for the third debate. He said KPU has issued a decree that appoints the organizing media for each debate session. The third debate session will be held at 7 p.m. on Sunday. The debate themes will include defense, security, international relations, globalization, geopolitics, and foreign policy.
We'll be back after the break. Stay with us on Focus Today.
Similar to praying, the Osing people in Banyuwangi perform this dance as a form of manifestation of gratitude after the harvest. This dance is performance art presented with typical music accompaniment of a blend of Javanese and Balinese cultures. We call it gandrung.
Hi, I'm Devini Hermawan. I will tell you why you should taste gado-gado as one of the most iconic Indonesian cuisine. So, just like any other salad with dressing, the dressing itself takes the major part to make gado-gado. It's really delicious. Here it is, rendang. So just put, this is the white pepper, shallots in, as well as the beef. This is our rendang. Now we can assemble them into a beautiful bowl of soto ayam Lamongan. A simple but special perkedel kentang. The flavor is really intense.
Indonesian flavor with Chef Devina. Every Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Western Indonesia time.
That's all for today's edition. Indonesia has different culinary flavors and I will be back with another authentic menu. See you and goodbye.
Thank you for staying with us on Focus Today. A simple fingerprint test to check for breast cancer could eventually replace the mammogram, saving lives and money and increasing the number of tests carried out, according to researchers at Sheffield Hallam University.
Fingerprints contain sweat, and the test looks at the molecular makeup of a fingerprint using mass spectrometry, a system that measures the atomic weight of particles and molecules to identify them. The pioneering research relies on matrix-assisted laser desorption ionization mass spectrometry, or MALDI-MS, using machines made in the UK by Waters Corporation.
The principle of the experiment is that literally from the smear of a fingerprint, we can do some smart chemistry on that sample, and then we can interrogate the sample with the mass spectrometer, so with the approach that we have here, and that gives us a very complex picture of the underlying molecules which are present there. So we get a picture of the molecules, and then by using those molecules and the different fingerprint, if you like, of the molecules, we can actually determine control samples from potentially cancerous samples. So we get a range of different molecules that allow us to be able to determine A from B.
The hope is, in the future, a simple non-invasive fingerprint test could replace the mammogram, which is not only painful but involves traveling to a specialist center with trained staff for an appointment that takes at least 20 minutes. Although Professor Francis says mammograms and biopsies are all we currently have to identify breast cancer.
Elvis Presley fans who missed out on seeing their hero when he was alive will be able to catch a glimpse of the King of Rock and Roll perform later this year, thanks to virtual reality.
Elvis Evolution will be an immersive, interactive experience for fans to follow events through Presley's life and music, said Layered Reality, the immersive entertainment company developing the show.
Elvis Evolution is the world's first immersive experience based upon the story of Elvis. So you'll understand more about the man, the cultural influence and the music of him. And you'll go through a journey effectively, travel back in time to the 50s, 60s and 70s, and you'll experience firsthand this journey that Elvis went on from a small town in Mississippi to the largest stage in the world in Las Vegas.
Global interest in the singer, widely acclaimed as the best-selling solo music artist of all time, with more than 500 million records sold, is undimmed 46 years after he died, age 42. McGuinness said Elvis Evolution would appeal to both die-hard fans and those curious to discover more about the can't help falling in love singer. After London, Elvis Evolution will travel to cities including Las Vegas, Tokyo and Berlin, he added.
During the New Year's Day holiday, China experienced double-digit growth in key sectors due to robust consumer spending and festive-themed promotional activities.
Consumer sentiment increased during the three-day holiday, fueled by various promotions by businesses and local governments to boost spending. Strong sales were registered in festive goods, domestic fashion products and smart products, while the catering, tourism and snow and ice sports sectors also received a boost as Chinese buyers showed growing interest in diversified, experience-oriented and immersive forms of consumption. According to the ministry, sales of key retail and catering enterprises in the country saw an 11% year-on-year increase during the holiday. Items such as smart home appliances, household products, food and beverages, and traditional clothing were among the best-selling products. The ministry also reported that sales of gold, silver, and jewelry were up by 21.2% over last year.
London Zoo began its annual stocktake, which included the mighty tiger and the endangered giant Galapagos tortoise. From the mighty tiger to the endangered giant Galapagos tortoise, London Zoo embarked on its annual stocktake on Wednesday, counting roughly 14,000 animals. Home to more than 300 different species, zookeepers at London Zoo will spend the next 2 days logging and recording each animal before registering them on an international database shared with zoos around the globe. This year, the zoo expects to open a new reptiles and amphibians house, which it hopes will educate visitors on conservation. An owl believed to be the escaped zoo owl Flacco has been spotted on Manhattan's Upper West Side. A Eurasian eagle owl believed to be the bird known as Flacco, who escaped from the Central Park Zoo in last February, perched in a tree near the American Museum of Natural History on Manhattan's Upper West Side in New York City on Tuesday. Flacco lived in captivity at the zoo for 13 years before his exhibit was vandalized. Since then, Flacco has been seen all over Manhattan, from Alphabet City to the Lower East Side and now the Upper West Side. Bookshelves and TV cabinets make for a perfect jungle gym for Harley, a gray moggy. She can't get caught in the government-built apartment because the law threatens a fine or worse, the pet's potential eviction.
Harley lived with her owner Shamir Osman in defiance of a 34-year-old law banning cats in the government-built apartments, which house the vast majority of Singaporeans. If caught, the law threatens a fine of 4,000 Singapore dollar, or worse, the pet's potential eviction. Luckily for Harley and her dad, Singapore plans to lift its apartment cat ban later this year. Authorities rarely enforce the ban, which only applies to the High-Rise Housing and Development Board, or HDB apartment blocks, where 80% of 3.6 million Singaporeans live, and has long been flouted by countless cat lovers.
One sister still with us.
It's not clear what made the Singapore government change its mind, but the tipping point appears to be an official survey last year that showed 9 out of 10 respondents agreeing that cats were suitable pets to keep, including in HDB flats.
A 4-month-old baby panda born in Moscow Zoo has finally got a name. Meanwhile, a South Korean zoo unveiled new baby panda twins before their official debut to the zoo visitors. Let's take a look.
Katyusha, which translates to forever pure in Russian, is the first ever panda born in the zoo's 100 years. She was born in late August 2023 from a pair of giant pandas, Ruyi and Ding Ding, that arrived in the zoo in April 2019. The arrival of the pandas in Moscow came after years of collaboration with the Giant Panda Nature Reserve in China's Chengdu. As from Yongin, South Korea, the twin cubs Rui Bao and Hui Bao, marking their 6-month birth anniversary, will be presented to zoo visitors from Thursday. As the youngest members of the panda family at the amusement park Everland in Yongin, south of Seoul. The twins, both female, were born at the amusement park in July. Their sibling, Fu Bao, was the first panda to be born in South Korea in 2020.
Moving on to another news, Royal Caribbean's colossal cruise liner Icon of the Seas, touted as the world's largest cruise ship globally, docked in Punch, Puerto Rico in preparation for its inaugural journey from Miami on January 27th. The giant vessel made its way to the Caribbean ahead of its highly anticipated launch.
The massive cruise drew curious gazes from locals and tourists alike, eager for a preview, noting its presence at the port would attract tourism and improve the local economy. After setting sail from Alegria, Spain on December 23rd, the Icon of the Seas embarked on a 9-day transatlantic voyage to reach its current location. The ship is undergoing final inspections and preparations to ensure everything is ready for its debut journey. The 1,198-foot or 365-meter ship has 20 decks with capacity to accommodate up to 10,000 people.
Palestine national football team arrive in Doha as they continue Asian Cup preparations. Details are next in our sports highlights. The Palestine national football team arrive in Doha as they continue their Asian Cup preparations following a 10-day training camp in Saudi Arabia.
2015 and 2019 and comes at a time when Palestinian Football Association claim 80.
Rafael Nadal made his comeback after being out injured for nearly a year, winning 7-5, 6-1 against Dominic Thiem in the Brisbane International first round.
Please make welcome Rafael Nadal!
Nadal had arthroscopic surgery last June after injuring his left hip flexor during his second round defeat by Mackenzie McDonald at the Australian Open in early 2023. Nadal returned to competitive tennis in the new season on Sunday and crashed to a doubles defeat while partnering retired veteran Mark Lopez, but showed glimpses of his top form ahead of the January 14 to 28 Melbourne Park Major. Meanwhile, Greece defeated Canada 3-0 in Group B as Australian Open.
And that ends today's news on Focus Today. I'm Valerina Daniel. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
Indonesia, tanah airku, tanah tumpah darahku. Di sanalah aku berdiri, jadi pandu ibuku. Indonesia, kebangsaan, bangsa dan tanah airku, marilah kita bersatu, Indonesia bersatu. Hidup
than just the southeastern island of Indonesia, Lombok offers serenity with a scenic natural sights, and of course with a thick culture that blends into one harmonization of Lombok traditions. The beauty of Lombok is untouched. Many dream beaches with white sands, rich culture, and definitely friendly and interesting people. And last but not least, of course, they have delicious food and beautiful nature.
I'm here to explore the untouched beauty of Lombok. Welcome to Taste and Culture. I'm Jovita Karen and I dare you to come.
In the Sasak language, the indigenous people of Lombok, bebalung means bones. This is the reason why this soupy dish contains ribs and oxtail. But what makes bebalung very special is the traditional spice called rajang yeast. It is said that bebalung is touted as one of the culinary riches of the Sasak tribe and that this food has healthful properties and increases energy.